My name is Hawk, and I make props and costumes, except for this time. This time it's just going to be me talking. So if you're not interested in the talking video, move on to the next one. I have a relatively large library of videos making props and costumes, if you wanted to check any of them out. I've had a couple of people ask me questions about my printer. So I figured I'd take a moment to go through everything I got going on and maybe do a little workflow to show how I do things. But let's jump over to the 3D printing room. And by 3D printing room, I of course mean there's a little bit of closet that I've sectioned off in my garage. It's relatively difficult to film in here, so I usually don't. But this is my main FDM printer. Let's just... There we go. It's Tronxy. Tronxy is the brand. I'm sure it's probably supposed to be Tron XY. It's a Core XY printer. Like I said, it's FDM, just standard. There's nothing. Core XY, let me explain that real quick. So the bed doesn't move back and forth like your standard Cartesian printer, the kind you're used to seeing. The print head moves around and then the build plate just slowly lowers. I prefer this style. Less stuff to get worn out. I used to have the bed slinger style, but more times than not, anything that went wrong with it was always a little wire for the heated bed that kind of broke because it went back and forth a lot. So it's got a pretty decent sized build plate. I really like it. It's loud. The fan in it needs to be replaced. So I have to pull everything off and put a new fan on. Probably just going to add a second fan so I can have better airflow. It's the only part of the machine that's actually loud, but you know, it is what it is. This was my first 3D printer. I loved this thing. It's been scavenged for parts. I have all the stuff I need to put everything back together and redo it completely. I just have to have time. This is a Frozen Sonic 8K. It's the Mighty. I love this thing. I use it primarily for blue, for like the bigger Genesis stuff. There you go. So, but recently the lens fried on it. I have everything I need to replace it, except for time. And that leaves us with this guy. This is a Mars 2. And this is my resin workhorse. I absolutely love this thing. It's bulletproof. I have yet to have any issues with it at all. As far as resin, this is my favorite. I also have a curing station. Right? It just holds isopropyl. Goes from one to the other. And then I have actually Anycubic full-on curing. I don't use this thing. I don't know. I thought it would be great. With how I print, I don't use it. And then down here, just like the other printer, I have everything I need to put together a large 3D printer. Same as the my Tronxy over there. But I just haven't yet. This room isn't quite where I want it to be, but you know, it's what I've got, not what I need. So I recently tore my my far wall apart and redid the whole thing, and it's much more useful. I'm gonna have to do the same thing with this. So that's all my electronic storage. Anything that I'm not using goes up here. All of that's just projects or ring lights or just random storage that probably should just go away. Up here, since this was the only heated room in my garage, anything that is temperature controlled or has to stay warm ends up in here. My suspended slurry is down here. All of my molds usually end up in here. All my resins and resin-like products. My filament. And that's just kind of how I have my 3D printing room set up right now. I've also had people ask me about my table. This thing is 4 foot tall, 4 foot wide, and then 4 foot deep. So it's just a 4x4 cube. And it is the best addition I've made. It's on wheels to my shop so far, right? Best addition. This folds up and gives me a full 4x8 sheet of just work surface. Clear bins Clear bins make my life so much easier. Tuscan molds. I know it's Tuscan molds because it says Tuscan molds and I can see them. Everything's got a label. Everything's in a bin. Patterns, threads, glue gun. The glue gun gets its own bin because I use it a lot. And then it's just a catch-all for just random stuff. This is look at this. So this is 3 2x6s all screwed together that go all the way down to the floor. I can kick a wedge in, and if I have to punch a hole in a thing, this is the best place to do it. Oh, and all my acrylics for my laser cutter goes right here. All the spray paint I'm actively using goes here. When I'm done with it, it goes over to the rest of it, but this is just relegated for the paints I am currently using. So if I have like my Mandalorian, or my Mosquito, or the Robotech helmets, I have everything that I'm actively using here. Everything else goes into longer term storage. But these are bungee cords, so it makes getting out the cans pretty easy, and it holds everything really well in place. And this side's just more storage. Active projects, this is like Kim's proton pack, my sewing machines, the electrics for my proton pack, molds for vacuum forming, everything for pilots. I mean, it's all separated and neatly organized. Well, neatly organized, it's as neat as I can make it. But speaking of sewing, nothing, and I do mean nothing, has improved sewing for me more than raising the surface up higher. So my machine is right here next to me. I'm not hunched over. I have to stand upright. I have a foot pedal, which also causes me to stand upright. This thing makes sewing so much better. And there's no more floor goblin stuff going on. It's all, I get to stand and do what I need to do. And it has absolutely improved how I sew. The nice thing about this is I can push it all the way out of the way. I have 2 bins here. Actually, I have 4 bins, but these 2 we don't talk about. This is extra fabric that I'm actively using, and this is a project that I'm currently working on. But I have my laser cutter and leather. All my leather goods go up here, and my laser cutter goes right here, clearly. All of my costumes, almost all of my costumes are in bins, right? I've got, this is my Jedi. I know it's my Jedi because it says Jedi right there, and that's my name. That's my Jedi symbol. But all of my bins are color coded. My Royal Guard is in the red bin, and I've got, you know, a plaque that says what it is. I've got a placard so I can glance. Harlock has a little skull and crossbones right there. My Tuscan has a Mythosaur skull. This is Boba Fett. He's still a work in progress, but we won't go there. But all of my costumes go in bins. All of them. So not all the bins are as nice as these. Sometimes we just have the clear ones with the latches. They'll have weather stripping to make sure nothing gets in them, nothing have to deal with them. Most of the clear bins are Kim's, except for like I have my my soldier right here. It's just because I can't find these bins anymore. Husky stopped producing them, and I'm a little dismayed at what to do with this. But all of my costumes are in bins. They're easy to see. I don't have to worry about them. Anything that's not in a bin is hanging up in a closet. Again, there are bins everywhere in my garage. So my Mosquito pilots. I mean, if you don't keep everything organized, it takes over. And suddenly it's everywhere. And the last thing I need is stuff everywhere. So this is a shelf that you almost never see, right? I've got all my in-process stuff is there. All of the Valkyrie helmets, right there. My proton pack that I need to get sound and lights into, right there. Boba Fett, he's over there. But if I'm working on a thing, in between videos, it tends to go up there, so it's out of the way, and I still have my fantastic work table to use. All my actual like tools are here. My router, my jigsaw, my sawzall, belt sanders, palm sanders. All of my sandpaper goes on shelves. All of this is supposed to be lathe working tools, but it's lathe working tools and sandpaper. Speaking of lathes, that's what this thing is. This is my lathe. It stays in a box most times because I don't want dust getting on it. I do a lot of stuff that makes dust. It is not the best lathe in the world. It's a little bitty import lathe, but it does what I need it to do, which is primarily lightsaber parts. It does what I need it when I need it. And that's really what matters. I need to bolt it down now that it has its own home, and I may end up putting a little light up here just so I have better view. I don't want it too far back, so I made this table a bit narrower so I can still move everything and get to everything without fighting. I used to just pull it forward, but I really want to secure it. But it has the box it came in. That keeps it nice and safe. I'm not the only one who uses this garage, though. Kim does projects in here too. She makes just as much as I do. I mean, by the time I finish a costume, she's normally finished one as well. So it's not like I'm the only one doing stuff. I'm just the only one filming it. The last video she was in did pretty well. The only video she was in did pretty well. Hate to think that it was just her that everybody likes, but you know. Maybe we'll do another one soon with her and see what happens. So I had people ask me about my 3D printer. I figured it would be a good time to go over all of that. I haven't yet. It's way easier just to record a video and go, well, there you go. It's everything I use. I recently became a full partner on YouTube. It's interesting. I haven't quite processed it. It happened a couple of days ago. Let's talk about YouTube for a couple minutes. There is no correct way to YouTube, right? I only know the way that I did it. I didn't follow trends. I didn't use clickbait titles. I didn't just upload garbage. Every video I've uploaded, I kind of like, but just kind of. So having made it to full partner, it took me about 4 years, and that was uploading regularly for, I'd say, at least 3 of those. My first summer I took off because I was like, no, this is doing horrible. I'm not in the mood. But after that, I kind of just put the time in. It's the law of larger numbers. If I keep doing this, sooner or later, I'll get to where I want to be. There's no other statement behind that. If you keep making videos, sooner or later, you get where you need to be. But so I would wake up, check my video performance. Well, I do my normal morning routine, but in that included checking video performance, seeing how many hours I still had to go, how many hours I had. It's a brutal metric to sit and just look at everything. You have to beat the day by so many hours if you're going to do the thing. And yesterday morning when I woke up, I had no hours to check. None. It was done. I don't need to ever look at that metric again. And that's just fantastic. I had to click a couple of buttons, and then suddenly, boom, it's done. I'm a full YouTube partner. I don't have to worry about, I only have to worry about the video I'm actually making. And it's such a nice, it's a great place to be. There's no pressure. I know this is a weird one. It's not my normal style of video. I normally make stuff or do things or I don't know. I'm normally more active. I'm just talking to a camera right now. We'll be building stuff next week. I got an interesting one in mind. This one, my buddy Mark said, you need to do this. And I looked at his statement and went, no, I need to do that. So that's what I'm doing next week. If you want to see what that is, maybe think about subscribing. Click on the like, comment. Comments are huge. Yeah, other than that, this is my shop. Thanks for stopping by.